You saw the title and thumbnail? Let's dive in. Starting with... Didn't expect this one to be even remotely good, yet was pleasantly surprised by how enjoyable it was. Oh lordy, that is a horrible word for any review. So let me break it down. A demon king summons a Japanese businessman to be one of his 4 generals, as his nation has various issues that need to be solved. Our protagonist then solves these issues by using his knowledge of business. Not exactly going for the highest heights, I know, but even so, this show kinda worked. The protagonist isn't some dumbass who has all the personality and charisma of a blobfish. He's expressive in multiple ways, and actually, God forbid, a character. Suppose that's more so a broadside to bad isekai than praise for Headhunted, so let me digress. I like Danesuke. Not only does he have a fun and caring personality, he is intelligent. These solutions do work, and the consequences are sound. The sole exception being the final battle, where I seriously doubt this strategy will work. I mean, the decoy demons are completely exposed here. He also has his own mind palace thing, which is his favourite bar. It's obvious what they're doing here, but this didn't need to be in every episode. But in all, he is a fun protagonist who's very weak, so has to rely on his negotiation skills to get through, on top of being brave, despite being a regular guy. Beyond him, however, the rest of the cast aren't great. The other generals are, surprise surprise, hot girls who come around to really liking Danesuke, alongside this random lady. Then there's this girl who he rescues, who also comes to care for him. The only thing the Demon King does is to inspire the protagonist to believe in himself, and instantly vaporize this sudden giant creature at the final minute. The second antagonist is an idiot who goes mwahaha, while the first is a greedy merchant the protagonist outwits, who then learns not to be greedy and care for his many adopted war orphans, which I guess makes him the second best character. None of them comes across as engaging is my point. It's only the protagonist holding the show up. The world isn't much better. When I said the Demon King and his demon nation, you might be expecting some kind of evil nature to them, but nah. With a few exceptions, everyone is morally perfect. Which can work. Helk is a great example of that, but unlike one of the best anime of 2023, Headhunted doesn't have a rich cast of entertaining deep characters, nor is it doing a subversion of a demon army. It could have taken place in Cuddly Wuddly Land for all that it mattered. No, it's really the plot that works well here. The idea of using business knowledge to solve problems of a fantasy world is a really good one, and the show fulfills it. As said earlier, the strategies mostly work, and it's neither dumbed down nor overly complex. A fine line for any show. So despite the basic ass world and characters, the events may be excited to watch the solutions to whatever problems arise. So it may be the weakest of this list, but Headhunted to Another World is absolutely worthwhile. This one's quite an interesting one. In a fantasy world where saints use their holy powers to keep monsters and demons away, we follow 2 saints of this kingdom. The first is the 2 perfect saint in question, aka she effortlessly solves any problem that comes her way, yet she is treated with disdain by the prince and her parents. With such treatment throughout her life, she ended up completely detached and expressionless. In the show, the prince and parents call off her engagement to said prince and sells her off to a neighbouring kingdom so the prince can marry the 2 perfect sister, aka the second protagonist. In direct contrast, she comes across as always bubbly and is loved by all, yet she is much weaker than her older sister. Let me follow 2 Perfect's journey first. So being sent to the neighbouring kingdom, she helps this nation handle the growing demon threat, all the while learning to bond with others, especially this other second prince. It's not exactly setting new ground, especially when it comes to the jokes about the emotionless woman discovering her emotions, but it kinda works. The characters around the perfect saint more than make up for her flat personality by being naturally expressive and caring. The younger saint's story, meanwhile, is where this anime truly shines. She comes across to the other characters as a kind-hearted, gullible idiot, who in actuality is a vengeful schemer who is secretly plotting the prince's downfall. She does all this because she loved her sister and despises all those who sent her away. Watching her put on this naive and innocent facade while trying to investigate and plot is very gripping and entertaining. But then on top of this, she struggles with her duties to hold off the demons and prevent her kingdom from collapsing. She has multiple opportunities to run away, but she stays not only out of revenge for her sister, but out of duty for her nation. An incredibly strong character. The dichotomy between the 2 sisters is excellent. The 2 sisters and their stories are mirror opposites and highlights the differences between the 2 kingdoms. Love that kind of stuff in shows. The unfortunate downside of Two Perfect Saints is that it's way too simple. The villains are cowardly, cartoonish asswipes who couldn't lead a conga line, while the goodies are brave, righteous heroes who will do anything for the sake of good. This kind of story would have worked a heck of a lot better if it were more complex. Had the younger sister seen a good or even competent side of the prince, that would have been so much better. The prince could still spell disaster for the kingdom, but perhaps it could tie in with his insecurity or paranoia, rather than just being a cowardly idiot who is simply evil. Likewise, had we seen any kind of mean side to the goody two-shoe kingdom, it would have added doubt for the Perfect Saints, which would have brought out some character drama and fleshed out the world some more. As it stands, both stories are very straightforward and predictable, but by no means are either bad. Dearie me, no. In this particular case, simplicity simply means The Two Perfect Saints is unfortunately not one of the greatest of this year, but instead it is a solidly good show and I wholeheartedly recommend it. This is the first sports anime that I like, and in just 9 words, I've given away my feelings on sports anime. And you know what? Had Turkey been a show about a team competing in a bowling tournament, my eyes would have drifted back into my skull out of sheer boredom. But fortunately not. During a confrontation between the bowling captain and their dismissive member, who hates how the team is not taking the sport seriously, the 5 girls are sent back in time to the Sengoku period, where they encounter 5 sisters who run a small village. They then use their bowling skills to solve every problem they encounter. The British equivalent of this is an all-female cricket team going back to the Viking era to defend a monastery. It's absurd and I love it. I wasn't kidding when I said every problem of the show is solved by bowling. Oh no, a bunch of samurai have taken this guy prisoner. Use bowling to spook them, and bowling to knock him out. This bandit is about to kill the same guy. Somehow punt a boulder across a body of water to his face. This lord is about to execute the 5 sisters. Well, challenge him to bowling. It's great. Would have loved to see them in tense negotiations where they tried this tactic and somehow win. The 10 girls themselves are alright. The 3 side modern characters get a full episode each where they bond with one of the sisters, while the 2 main girls get a neat arc, where one learns to value herself and the other to let go of her dead parents. But, well, you wouldn't know she's on an arc until the final act of the final episode. It still kinda works for a couple other reasons, so it's not a big criticism. With the exception of this really bloody annoying cliffhanger that makes no sense whatsoever, the show has very few problems and is simply put, just pleasant. You know nothing deadly is going to happen, and yet portrays his characters well enough that it keeps you engaged throughout. Not at all convinced the twist at the end adds anything, but I like the idea around this bloke and his little journey. It's really subtle and adds quite a bit of depth for one of the main gals. So in all, it's a simple show, but works well. Kicked from the Heroes Party, no, stay awake. Kicked from the Heroes Party, Kurt, a guy who is triple S class in everything but fighting, does random jobs where he performs absurdly great in everything. He, however, believes he's really weak. Now I know that sounds incredibly generic and predictable, but you be very wrong. This show is so bombastically funny. The fact he solves every problem by doing something so absurdly over the top, and every other character has to accept this absurdity, is hilarious. The sheer over-the-topness of it all is fantastic. And even better, I love all the characters in this. Kurt's naivety and sheer dismissal of himself adds to the hilarity, and everyone around him has to eventually come to terms with the insanity he builds and does. I particularly like that everyone besides our hero is quite clever, and often come up with plenty of good plans to solve problems, which our unaware idiot stumbles straight through. Can't really say too much more, as I don't like spoiling good stuff, and especially good jokes. So take my word for it. Unaware Atelier Meister, god damn that title is the clunkiest 3 words possible. Unaware Meister is a hilarious anime that is just fantastic. I think this got the closest in the good section to being great. In a world where this guy trains students to wield swords, he ventures to the capital to train knights to wield swords. Okay, I'm jesting, there's quite a lot more with this show. After some time in the capital, our country guy learns about the specific functions of the knights, mages and adventurers. He discovers that the church have a lot of power and up to no good, and also there's a succession crisis brewing. Basically, the world and its many factions slowly start to reveal themselves as the protagonist gets more involved involved in their various schemes. Such a natural way to showcase the world. But more to the point, the world itself feels incredibly realistic. You can clearly see the hierarchy between the factions and the different cultures within them. Even though we spend almost the entire show in one city and from a single perspective, we get the strong sense that there's so much more to this world. But that isn't the main appeal of the show, is it? Nah, the main draw is the swordsmanship itself. Watching this master sword instructor teach and fight is great to watch. There's no bullshit after image nonsense, no health bars, shields actually matter, and is all about technique. The creators of Country Bumpkin seriously put the effort to show off how sword fighting would actually work. Beryl isn't the most awesomest sword fighter who can defeat any opponent by slightly moving their sheathed sword. In every fight, he has to think very carefully about every swing, thrust, parry and block, lest he lose against these genuinely skilled opponents. It makes every fight truly gripping and so fun to watch. There was one hilariously dumb moment where we learn this lady's teeny weeny sword has chips in it, so the instructor and blacksmith agree she needs a longer sword. They then give this tiny lady the largest sword possible. It's so funny. Hey, I was wondering if I get a new car that's a little faster. Well, how about a land speed record car? Every time she swings that thing, I imagine her hips snapping in two. Other than that, and the super duper sharp sword that can cut through armor like tissue paper, but not other swords apparently, the show is incredibly clever and works really well. Afraid I can't put it in the great tier because quite simply, there isn't much of a story. There's no goal or ambition for the protagonist, nor any of the other characters. There is this girl who our protagonist rescued, avenged and adopted before building a father-daughter relationship with, but there's barely anything there. The season certainly alludes to a future crisis, both with the church and the succession thing, but that hasn't happened yet, and everything could be hunky-dory for all I know. I highly doubt that would happen, but I still can't say it's great yet. So let's see what becomes of Season 2. My hopes are very high.